Hello and welcome back to the Fastest Podcast, where we cover everything from the greatest overtakes to the fastest pit stops. I'm joined today with Dan and Pigeon. How are you guys doing? It's race week.
Finally.
It's race week.
As in.
It's over, guys. War is over. Cars on track.
I mean, not yet, but
They're gonna be.
There's cars on track this week. That's the main thing.
Okay, how are we feeling? Zandvoort is, I think, a controversial one for whether people like it or don't like it. So what are we thinking?
Yeah, I like it because it's cars on track. Sometimes it is a bit boring, but, last couple of years I've had some good races. So, fingers crossed.
yeah, I think it depends on what kind of conditions are thrown in their way. We've seen some great races where safety cars mess up the order and you see a lot of overtakes. We've also seen a little bit of a boring one. I think last year, Norris just drove away, controlled the race and took the victory. But rain's expected. A lot of rain is expected. So we might see a banger. We don't know.
Well, we are going to talk more about Zandvoort, but first, we've had some big news today. Cadillac have finally announced their lineup, and we did kind of predict it. We exactly predicted it. Thoughts? I'm into it. I think it serves its purpose. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I just think it's a bit boring. It's a bit dull. They could have mixed it up a bit. They could have brought a younger driver to sit alongside either Perez or Bottas. I get why they didn't go for Mick Schumacher or Zhou. I don't think they're good enough. But you've got Drugovich, you've got Pourchaire, who done really well in F2. I think they deserve a seat in F1, but they've gone for the experience route. Personally, I think a younger driver in there as well would mean you can build a team around a specific driver. So yeah, you can have Perez developing, say, for Pourchaire or Drugovich, but in the end, the team's going to be built around them because Perez isn't going to be at the team for long. You would say 2 years max, probably. So I would have liked them to bring a younger driver in.
Yeah, I think the announcement was more of a formality at this point. Everyone's been saying for an entire week, it's been confirmed or it's been signed or whatever. And Cadillac hadn't said anything yet, so that's kind of weird. But yeah, we all saw it coming. I do get it. You want, especially for a new team, you want experience. You want people who know how to drive the car. But even more important, how to drive the car at every place in the field. Both Bottas and Perez have driven cars throughout the field in their careers, with Bottas at Mercedes and Perez at Red Bull. I think it's important to have two drivers who can correctly give the team what they need in order to build the car further. And you can't forget that Cadillac isn't just playing for 2026. They are building their team, they are building a brand, and they want to compete from 2026 onward. So even if the car is nowhere in the first couple of seasons, at least they'll have a good base to work from. And maybe towards 2029, when their engines are finally coming in as well, they'll be able to get in mix for the midfield or even the top 4 or 5.
I suppose you could also say that going, into their first season, they might have gone for the two experienced drivers for, more than for development, just because if you bring in a new driver who the team is clearly going to be built around, you don't really want to go into that maybe as a more experienced driver or an older driver, knowing that you've kind of already got one foot out the door. So maybe just for stability in that first season or two, that could also be a huge factor. But I think it makes sense. I do get why a lot of people wanted a rookie, but I mean, Bottas's announcement said it all for me, why we needed him back.
Yeah, pretty happy with him back. He always adds something to the grid, whether it be quirky pictures or just stoic answers. I really like having him back. What you can't forget also is next year we're going to be driving new cars, new regulations, completely new vehicles altogether. I think when Haas joined back in 2016, they already had the stable regulations. This will be the first year of new regulations. So if you put an inexperienced driver in the car, you don't know what you're getting. Even if they are skilled, even if they do have high talent, you don't know if they'll be able to adapt to the cars. And that all isn't a given for any driver. But yeah, you want to go with certainty over potential in that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, there's as much a likelihood as anything that, both of them have been out the car for a while anyway, getting back in, new regulations. It might not work, and I suppose we just need to kind of see how Cadillac, where in the field they fit in. There are so many factors that are up in the air. But I think because there are so many factors up in the air, that experienced lineup will hopefully carry them through. I mean, if you look at all of their branding, everything that they've sort of released today, it shows that, they're going big with it. And I think it's quite exciting, having a team that's got a bit of a flair for the dramatic maybe on the grid. I think it's exciting. I also think it's really interesting to see, them as teammates, considering like 2021, they were kind of each other in their own teams, like each other's huge rivals. So I'm excited. I think it's a solid one.
I guess it's also a chance to see who had the better teammate. Verstappen or Hamilton in the 2021 battle. They're going to be head to head. They might be nowhere. They might be at the back of the grid. So a bit of pride between the two of them. There might be a bit of needle. You never know. With the Mercedes v Red Bull days, there might be a little bit of needle in there as well. Here's hoping. I can see why they've done the lineup. It's stability. It's a safe pair of hands at the end of the day. I personally, I still wish they had just thrown someone in so he can learn. If the car's at the back of the grid, he can learn. So I would have liked to have seen someone younger thrown in.
I think, if you look back at the last few years where we've seen like two rookies in a lineup, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is Haas, with Schumacher and Mazepin. And that was just real bad. So, I always think, they should definitely go with someone with the experience. I do get the disappointment. I think it would have been really cool to see, Crawford or, Pocher or Drogovic, like you said, but I don't know. If I had a Formula One team sat there and I had to pick my drivers, I'd probably be going for experience.
Yeah. I mean, you say Mazepin and Schumacher, and I just have to go back to how miserable those two were in the car. Every single race, they were 19th and 20th, and the only cars they saw were each other and number 1, 2, 3 when they were passing them and lapping them. I would have loved to see someone younger in the car, but I completely get their decision. I respect it. Because also Bottas and Perez, they're not going to be in the car for 5 years. I think they are both at the end of their careers. Perez is a father, Bottas really wants to do other things as well. He cycles, competes in other sports professionally. I think this is more for them to kind of not end their careers, but just give it a couple more years. until they physically can't do it anymore or they want to do something else.
Yeah, you'd say maybe in Perez's case, it's about righting the wrongs of 2024. Where he had a miserable season. So maybe he wanted to come back and prove himself. Bottas also in 24 had a terrible season. That was because of the car. But, I think he was the only driver that started that season not to score. I think for both of them, it could potentially also be about, righting the wrongs of 2 years ago.
I mean, we've also heard from, the grapevine, that a big part of how Perez kind of went for the Cadillac seat was by saying, look, you guys have seen the second Red Bull seat is not working for anyone. It wasn't me, guys. Just, it wasn't me. So, we've seen what he did at Racing Point. We've seen what he did when the Red Bull was not just drivable by Max Verstappen. It's promising. I mean, definitely, I think if there is anything in that car, that will be a nice maybe place for him and Bottas to kind of tie things up. And, I mean, what a great way to do it as well. You've just bringing a whole new team onto the grid, 2 drivers that have got huge kind of fan bases. It's smart as well from Cadillac in that regard.
Yeah, as you say, Perez. I don't think he has anything to prove. I think Red Bull proved it for him. Red Bull's nowhere this season. I think Perez is the only one who actually beat Max straight on in a couple of races over the last 5 years or whatever. I actually saw a stat as well that Cadillac will have the oldest lineup of the grid. Combined total of 71 years, I think. Only Aston Martin got close with a 45-year-old Fernando Alonso.
So they have Fernando Alonso, and Cadillac have still beaten him out.
If you have 2 35-year-olds, it's easy to top it. So I think Cadillac might just do something special next year, or in the coming years anyways. They have experience, and as you saw with Hülkenberg this year, you need one good race to get into the spotlight. And they both have shown in the past that they can do it. Bottas was madly consistent at Mercedes, the only driver to have made every single Q3 in their stint with the team. And then Perez, of course, put the cars that he drove during his career in places that they really shouldn't have been. I think it's a good lineup. We'll definitely see some interesting things next year if the cars are right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see their car, given all of this kind of marketing stuff that they're doing. I think it's going to be quite dynamic when they come through with their livery and, team kit, team colours, all of those things. I think I wasn't really wow about Cadillac, and now I'm kind of getting excited about it. It feels like it's kind of all coming together. I mean, now they've got their drivers. It feels a lot more like a sort of package that's coming rather than something that we keep hearing about. It feels kind of tangible now and solid, and I think it's gonna be exciting.
Well, you could say it's 2 more cars on the grid. It's going to be, in theory, going to be more racing. So I'm all for it.
Or a longer procession.
It's fine. They're not going to... Oh, no, they are going to Zandvoort next year.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Zandvoort pit lane is already very narrow. So if you have two more boxes in there, that's going to be mental. They have improved it, however. They have upped the speed limit from 60 kilometers an hour to 80.
Oh,
so
okay.
pit stops will be quicker. The pit stops themselves won't be, but you'll be able to get in and out of the pit lane much more quicker. So that'll be interesting. I think that's going to play into strategy as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting factor, actually. I didn't know about that.
And they have brought softer tires than last year, so...
They might not need them if it rains.
I'm just saying, if they do come on, they won't last as long, so...
I mean, on that note, let's talk more about Zandvoort, because, Pigeon, you're going to Zandvoort.
Not the only member of our team, actually.
No.
Who's going? We'll have 2 members on track this week at completely different stages of the track. So maybe you'll see some pictures from different angles showing up on our socials.
Solid coverage. That's what we need. Yeah. Zandvoort. So, apart from the rain, it's going to be wind. There's always wind in the Netherlands. But, I mean, we're right by the coast. And if you've got rain and wind, 2 things that Formula One cars don't love. So I think we could be in for some quite interesting racing this week. But I suppose all eyes on McLaren, I would say. What are we thinking?
Thinking that if it rains, it might be all eyes on Piastri. I don't see Norris performing in the rain. He doesn't have form. You look at... I know he won in Australia in the rain. Credit to him. He wasn't the quickest at Silverstone. He was very fortunate to win that one. You look at Brazil last year. Cost him a chance at the title. I'm sure I can think of others.
Please don't.
Not...
That's okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I think all eyes on Piastri, and then you're looking at the wet weather specialists, Hamilton, Verstappen, and, of course, Hulkenberg.
And Lance Stroll.
Hulkenberg.
Yeah, I mean... Piastri's had some mixed goes of it in the rain. Australia. But I think you are probably right. I think Norris does have that momentum from kind of Hungary, but I'd say odds are probably with Piastri now. I mean, we do have form in Zandvoort from Norris with that win last year. The statement, as it was called at the time.
I mean, 20 seconds clear, that's pretty much a statement.
It was a statement that led to nothing.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah, I could say one thing for certain. If it's not a rain race, it's going to be just don't watch, just go to bed. If it's a dry race, we're not going to see anything interesting happen. Yeah, with not being able to overtake anyone, it's not gonna be fun. If it does rain, though, you say that Piastri doesn't have the best track record, and that's true. He has some mixed results, but he has shown serious pace in the wet.
Yeah,
he followed Norris all the way in Australia. One mistake led to him dropping out of the points and then going back into them. Of course, Silverstone, stupid mistake, but he was definitely the fastest one that day. And Spa as well overtook Norris dominantly in the rain and took the win. Those are all examples of Piastri exactly showing what needs to be done. And I think that driving in the rain has 2 aspects to it. It's raw pace and then not crashing the car, the second one being the most important, of course. But as Dan says, Hamilton, Hulkenberg, Verstappen, we've all seen them excel in the rain, going to places where the car normally wouldn't be. And I can't wait to see it live.
Yeah, also rain's the equaliser, isn't it? So it doesn't matter if you've got the fastest car in the rain. That doesn't tend to matter. Throughout the race, if it does dry up, obviously, then you would expect the McLarens to go on and dominate. But like you said, at Zandvoort, it's not easy to overtake. So if they're not leading and it does dry up, You don't know. But yeah, I'm fully expecting a Piastri domination in Zandvoort.
I think if it rains, we are counting on one man, and that is Lewis Hamilton. I'm I'm in a real copium mood today. But like you guys have said, he's excellent in the rain. He's got a car that sometimes performs. Not for him, but sometimes performs. I think it's possible. I think we will have a mixed bag weekend. I'm kind of hoping it does rain. Kind of hoping it doesn't rain because messes with procedure. But I think it'll be an interesting one. I would like to see a Max win now in Zandvoort. I think that'd be great. It would be interesting.
Someone agrees.
Those words have never come out of my mouth, by the way.
We have it on tape, okay?
Delete this. No. I think it would be good to see him win purely because, okay, I'm a McLaren fan, but come on, guys, do something. Give us something interesting. We've suffered for 3 weeks. We need an interesting win. So I think, anything that kind of equalises or gives us, even if we have a wet qualifying, that could really impact the race. And that's what we want. We want, something interesting to kind of look at on Sunday. Especially because, some of the team are going to be there. Want them to have a good time as well.
I hope you've got a raincoat.
I don't care about the rain, to be honest. We've seen in 2023, even if it pours, the Dutch will always be happy when there's cars on track. I think some viral moments of Dutch people dancing in the grandstands under very heavy music. That just builds the atmosphere. But you say it's the big equalizer. This year we have also seen that it's the big neutralizer. Just think back to Spa. I really hope we don't get a repeat of that one.
FIA, let the cars race.
Please, we're begging you.
Please. Like we were talking about earlier, and I suppose, Zandvoort isn't as dangerous as Spa, but I suppose, as long as they're safe, get them out there, because they train for it. You've got the wet tyres, let's get out there. But we don't know yet. It might not even rain. It will definitely rain. But no, I don't know. What are we thinking about, the rest of the field? Because obviously, probably whatever the weather, McLaren will be involved at the top somewhere for sure. But what are we thinking? Ferrari. We saw Hungary was a bit of a epic highs and lows kind of weekend for them. So what are we thinking? Do you think that they're going to be able to bounce back a little bit, especially with the form of Hamilton?
I'm sure Ferrari will do many things right over the weekend. They might even grab a pole position. And they'll look quick at periods through the race, but you just know at some point they're going to be Ferrari and they're going to mess it up. They, strategy cool. They'll break the car somehow. A driver will bin it. Take your pick, but it's Ferrari. You can never count on them, really.
We should make a bingo card. Ferrari mess up a bingo card. You can, just put them all in. I think they will make a mistake at some point, whether it be chucking on 6 on a wet track or the opposite, making the wrong call for tires, or just not communicating with your engineer. They will probably mess up somewhere. I just hope that it isn't Lewis this time.
If there's one thing I ask from Ferrari this weekend, listen to the 7-time world champion. Please listen to him, because he knows what he's talking about sometimes. You know, he's oh my goodness, it stresses me out. You know, when you're watching and just the frustration, and you know, he feels so, you know, dejected by this whole thing. You know, we had you guys mad at me radio call. Like, they need to be listening to him. I think it was Montoya that was talking about it recently, that, you know, he's come from a team where, you know, Mercedes kind of operate under, how do we win? Doesn't matter, how do we win? There's one clear objective. But with Ferrari, there's so much sort of political red tape. And Lewis just isn't used to working in that environment. And I think it's kind of been clear, even in his interactions with his engineer, that they're not really listening to him. And I mean, what do you guys make of that? Because there are two ways of looking at it. It's kind of, is one person bigger than the team? Or should they just kind of, you know, listen to the 7-time world champion?
I think if I hear his engineer say, "I am checking one more time," I will smash my head against the TV. That they have to listen to, you know, the driver that's got the most wins ever in the sport. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. If he says, "We change on to slicks this lap," you do it. You just do it. If he says, "I want to put the mediums on," just put them on. Stop questioning and waiting 2 or 3 laps. Just put them on. Just do it. You also think Leclerc's at the end of, you know, what he was saying in Hungary. He seems like he's lost all hope in Ferrari as well. I think they need a whole structural change in their entire team for 26, and otherwise they're just going to go nowhere.
Yeah, I think Ferrari is, as a team, a very special one. I think you can call it kind of dysfunctional at times. No, but you laugh, but it's kind of true. Winning with Ferrari, you're at the top of the world. But when you say, "I want to go left instead of right," not literally, of course, but when you offer a different solution to a problem that they're having, and they're saying, "No, we want to do this," yeah, you kind of have to do that. Otherwise, you're not going to have a great time. But we've seen in the past years that when Ferrari say do this, there's a 99% of it not working. Yeah, I think at some point both drivers need to put their foot down, saying, "I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do this, and if you don't give me what I want, we're going to have a very, very big problem." Because they need their drivers.
I suppose it's a tricky one, because, you know, we've heard from Lewis himself that he is kind of working overtime to try and be in every sort of element of decisions and involvement. He's really trying to ingrain himself into the team. He's really trying to make it work with the car. So when you're kind of not seeing any payoff, any sort of compromise. I mean, we don't know everything. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes all the time, but it's not looking like much sort of compromise is happening. And it's a tough watch. It's sad to see, because they could be so great together. Just frustrating.
Yeah, I think that Hamilton just needs to get into a groove. We've seen it before. If he gets going, then he'll score fine. He'll try and get close to Leclerc, and he'll have his moments for sure. But he just needs to get out of his own head right now. We heard after the last race, he said they need to change the driver. I don't think we've ever heard him say that. Yeah, he needs to just have a couple of good results, or even just get into the top 5, top 6 in qualifying, and then build on that. Lewis will get there. He just needs to find a way to balance it out, his style with Ferrari style. And I'm sure we'll see him at on the podium with Ferrari somewhere this season.
Monza.
We can only hope. imagine the Tifosi if he does that.
I think that would be bigger than like him winning at Silverstone. You know, that would be. I don't even think there's a word for what that would be. That would be just
incredible,
unreal. We need a bank holiday if that happened.
I think if you'd give him a choice between winning an eighth or winning at Monza with Ferrari, it'll be a difficult choice.
Yeah, in a big way. But I mean, a little bit more on Ferrari. You know, Leclerc. I don't know if you guys have seen the memes, but on holiday it seemed he was reading a book about being underutilized and overworked. A self-help book. What do you think's going to happen there? Because, I mean, he's just going through the absolute ringer, you know, that high of getting pole position and then not even being on the podium. Like, how do you think that's kind of reconciled, given Lewis's performance as well?
I must say I'm surprised he wasn't reading a book about how to handle my difficult child. Sometimes you listen to the radio, you're like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. To be fair, though, being on pole in Hungary does not mean you win the race. I think we now have a 5-year streak of the driver on pole not winning. He didn't have much of a chance to begin with, but dropping back that far because of mistakes by Ferrari, that didn't need to happen. I think he could have scored an easy podium. Yeah.
I mean, we kind of saw the frustration. We kind of saw that frustration when he was racing against Russell. You know, like I know it's not guaranteed that you're going to win just because you're on pole in Hungary, but there, like you said, there was a great chance there for a podium, and just went so sideways for them, as it does, you know. I suppose, but we can only hope. We can only hope that we're going to see some form of improvement there, because I think you've got two drivers that are really devoted. So let's cut a little bit of the red tape for them. You've got two great drivers. You know, it'll be a shame to see that go to waste. But I mean, what else are we looking forward to with the weekend? Like, the grid is so close this year, and we're kind of in the middle of the season now. It's all getting very close. Do you think we're going to have any more announcements about the lineup next season?
Yeah, you would assume that Mercedes would announce both their drivers, but it would just be interesting how long they give each driver in their contract, the contract length. Because if it's only a year or two, you have to think that they're planning for Verstappen for 27. So I do think Mercedes will announce their contracts shortly.
I think it's getting weird now. What's happening? Toto Wolff loves a summer break contract announcement. Where is it? Like, Antonelli, I can get leaving it a bit longer, but for Russell, it's a bit of a slap in the face, no?
I think they're just in the fine details at this point, as Dan says. Just contract length, salaries, whatever, bonuses. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them give both of them a 1-year contract, because we do have loads of talent in the field at this point. After 2026, we'll get a better view of how the cars, of course, handle and who's going to be where in the field. And of course, if Verstappen chooses to decide, many teams will probably leave some kind of clause for that. Which also has got to hurt if you have that in your contract. Like, if we can get Verstappen, you're out. But yeah, I don't expect them to take much longer. I think this week, next week, week after, it'll be pretty soon. Also, Alpine, they have still have to choose a driver. I really don't have any clue who they're going to choose.
And I don't think it'll be anytime soon.
I think there's going to be like a couple of weeks before the season starts. Like, we found a driver somewhere on the street.
That could be a winter break special.
Then we have 3 more seats, all belonging to Red Bull teams. I expect Lawson and Hadjar to be extended. I don't know what they'll do with Tsunoda. There were rumors that they're going to bring in IndyCar 4-time champion Alex Palou. A whole another set of logistics behind that one, of course, and he still hasn't even said if he wants to go to F1. But it's going to be interesting to see the final 10 races, to see how the driver market shapes up for 2026. I can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, Mercedes, they've got their Italian driver, Monza. They'll announce it in Monza.
Hey.
Solved it, guys. Don't worry. No, I think...
Put a bow on it.
Yeah. Don't worry. Confirmed. Don't worry, guys. I think Tsunoda is a really interesting one for the driver market, because I think he needs to get out of Red Bull and spread his wings and just do a Gasly.
Alpine.
Yeah, this is what I was gonna say. I think it would be good to see him, with Gasly again. We know they can work well together. And I mean, he does need to do what Gasly did. Get out of there before the whole house burns down and build something somewhere else, and it also gives him good links to the rest of the Alpine package. They're in so many different things where they actually do well. So it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, the problem with Alpine, joining Alpine, is you've gone from one nutcase team to the other on the grid. Being managed by Briatore, I don't know. Is it Horner vibes? Is it worse? We don't know.
Like, in terms of potential criminal activity.
Yeah, see, it's... I mean, if I was Gasly, I'd be looking to leave Alpine at the soonest opportunity. But
can you imagine Tsunoda with Briatore, though?
Could you imagine Tsunoda having a tantrum to Briatore over the radio?
I mean, we're talking about this, but actually see it happening. There's no other place for him to go, anyways. No. If he does decide to leave Red Bull, and Alpine will have Mercedes engines next year, so they might just get into the midfield again.
Tsunoda and Verstappen,
we'll have to see.
Mercedes 2027.
I'm here for that. Tsunoda world champion.
I
need some of what you're smoking.
Can you imagine Yuki and Toto walking in together? I'll just leave you to think about that.
I really can't.
I'm sorry. Anyway, on that note, I think we've covered it all. We've got Cadillac announcement. We've got the Zandvoort race weekend coming up, where it's not just Formula One. You've got F1 Academy, F2 racing this weekend. Not this weekend.
F1 Academy.
Just F1 Academy.
One of its final races, I believe.
Yeah, we are coming to the end of the season for the girls, but yeah, hopefully it will be an exciting one. And it will rain, so something will happen, regardless. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Leave us a like if you enjoyed the fastest podcast today, and we'll be back at the weekend for more Dutch Grand Prix coverage. Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.